Okay, so I got. Let me do Aaron's list for him right now. So I have here the site that I go on to find like all the albums that were ever released in 1997. I ranked them here by what the critics think are the best, and I'm sure these are going to be all Aaron's. Ready? Here we go. Radiohead, OK Computer, Bjork, The Verve. Modest Mouse, Prodigy. Okay, we're done. All right, now that I got that out of my system, go ahead. And I'm not judging. I love the fact that our lists are different, and listen, mine are none more valid than Aaron's list. I'm just saying we're getting to know each other where we can predict each other's list. Okay, go.
All right. So as you started with your honorable mentions, I'm going to start with my honorable mentions. It goes down from 10 to 6. Here we go. The Prodigy.
I said that.
The Prodigy with The Fat of the Land. You had Firestarter. You had Smack My Bitch Up. You had, oh my God, that's the funky. Yeah. So great electronic album, sort of mixing in with that rock. If I had a camera to show you what Roberto is doing right now, I'm being shamed.
Just move along.
Number 9, Boss Skaggs with the cover album Come On Home. Number 8, Fleetwood Mac with their live album The Dance.
Yeah.
Number 7, the Buena Vista Social Club. It was a Ry Cooder project, focusing on the musicians that didn't make it through the Cuba going the way it did with Fidel Castro and so forth. And all of these artists are starting to, get some recognition. Ry Cooder heads down there, does some history. If in case you don't know, Ry Cooder's a very popular producer. He's done some music scores, including the Ralph Macchio movie in the 80s, Crossroads. Cooder heads down to Cuba, works with a lot of these artists, and even a movie is made from director Wim Wenders, who's done a lot of very well-known art films from Germany, also here our stateside. So
what was that, Scarface?
No. No. But
I told you. Sanitation. I thought he was on a sanitarium, man.
I went to see the movie when I was a little guy in 97. And I'll tell you, me and my dad, we went there. We sat near this old white woman who kept telling us, have you ever been to Cuba? Cuba's so nice. Me and Fidel, we used to hang out together and we smoked cigars.
What?
She was nuts. All right. But nonetheless, she kept talking about Cuba. I'm like, shut up, lady. I just want to hear the music. And number 6, we have the Rolling Stones with Bridges to Babylon. It's got some great singles on there, including their controversial Anyone See My Baby that was taking from Katie Lang's Constant Cravings.
I went through like 200 albums released in 1997, and that I did not see that.
Yeah,
I missed it because it wasn't offered to me as I just didn't remember.
Yeah, Bridges to Babylon. Not a lot of people remembered Bridges to Babylon. It did not sell as well as maybe other albums in their catalog would.
Saint of Me is one of my favorite songs.
That's a great song,
man.
with my homegirl, Michelle Ndege, on bass and on vocals as well. You had The Rundown. You had How Can I Stop?
Oh, that's a good one.
Good Keith Richards love ballad right there. You had, of course, Flip the Switch. And
great story about Bridges to Babylon in that Rolling Stones book. What's that Rolling Stone? What's the name of that?
The Rolling Stones book.
Old Gods Almost Dead or something like that.
Yeah.
That's such a good book. But yeah, they talk about in there that the making of Bridges to Babylon, that Keith Richards came into the studio one night unannounced and saw one of the producers, Danny Saber, with a guitar in his hand playing over some of the songs, putting his own stamp on it, Stone stuff. Keith Richards threw him right out of the studio. Told him to get the hell out of here.
Don't mess with Keith. Don't mess with Keith. All right, so now let's get down to the meat and potatoes. All right, let's get down to that top 5 list Roberto already picked. So we have number 5, The Healing Game from Van Morrison. All right, that was released in March of 97. This is Van's 23rd album, 4th album in a 2-year span, starting with 1995's Days Like This, and he also did 2 jazz collaboration albums. How long has this been going on? And Tell Me Something.
See, I don't know those. I've never heard those 2 albums, but those are ones that you hear mentioned all the time. When when people talk about Van Morrison, it's not so much all like the classic stuff. You hear those 2 titles a lot.
And what's great about those 2 jazz collaboration albums that he did with Georgie Fame on How Long Has This Been Going On? Georgie Fame, a very well-known organist and across the pond. And Tell Me Something is a tribute album that also features not only Georgie Fame, but Ben Sindrin and Mose Allison. It's a tribute album for Mose Allison. This 10-track, 57-minute features bandmates such as Georgie Fame, as I mentioned, and Fame James Brown horn player Pee Wee Ellis, baritone sax player. Songs include Rough God Goes Riding, Fire in the Belly, This Weight, Burning Ground, and the title track for the album. It's an album filled with passion. It's soul-searching at time, rousing in the complex writing from Van the Man. This album is a family favorite. My dad, who was a vocalist for many years in the Detroit blues scene, he would come home smelling like, 20 cartons of cigarettes, and we used to load his gear up in the big white Chevrolet van, and he would bring us home a chili cheeseburger from a local Coney Island as sort of payment. So like 2:30 in the morning, we're waking up, and he brings home our chili cheeseburger, and he puts the cassette tape of this album in the stereo, and we listen, and he's just unwinding and relaxing, and we're asking him how the show went. And all my dad wanted to do was just listen to this album here, just to relax. And it's a very great album. If you like this one, head back to 95, take a listen to Days Like This, and move back up to 99 with Back on Top. Number 4 is the Foo Fighters with The Color in the Shape, released in May of 97. During the recording of this album, Grohl, in which you can watch a great documentary on the history of the Foo Fighters, and you've seen it back and forth, which is during the time they were doing Wasting Light, that mono great album produced by Butch Vig.
I love it. I love that documentary. It's one of my top 5 probably, just because of the honesty, and I wish more bands would.
And it really was.
Like
and Grohl's very honest in terms of how he felt about bandmates, and one happens to be William Goldsmith, who was the drummer who toured with them on the Foo Fighters' first album, which was all done by Grohl, all recorded by Grohl. Went on the road, took Goldsmith with them. Then they went to record the second album. They did all of the drum tracks, and Grohl just like out of nowhere, and the perfectionist that he is like, I'm gonna do the drum tracks. I'm not happy with this. So he goes, does all the drum tracks again, and Goldsmith hears about it, and now there's talks that he's actually being kicked out of the band, which he is promptly removed from the band. Grohl does all of the drum tracks over, and that's
I think
just
it was better off.
And you know what? It's a really great album, and it's not the first time Grohl's going to do this.
It needed that though, but that material needed that drum sound. It needed that tight, really. How do I put it? Like, really just on the money drum sound. It wasn't, sort of.
It wasn't
loose. It was very tight, played and produced well and engineered well. And, I knew that you could tell that he had that vision in his head, and that needed to be put down, on tape.
And properly. So the only time you don't hear Grohl on drums is the opening title track for the album, entitled Doll.
Oh, he stayed out. There was one track that had.
Well, I think that was more of like, here for your little money.
Wow.
Here's Doll. But the rest of the album, he went ahead and re-recorded all the drum tracks. Big hits, of course, included Monkey Wrench, My Hero, and the very popular music video, Everlong. The success of the second album definitely shows that Grohl's attempt at being a band leader is solid. This is not meant for a side project. This is his band. And of course, as I had mentioned, for more history on this album, including the departure of Pat Smear and another guitarist being let go out of nowhere, check out that great documentary from 2011, back and forth from the Foo Fighters. Number 4, The Color and the Shape by the Foo Fighters.